There is a new expression out there. It's the villain era, about when we finally learn to impose boundaries and express our own needs.
Yes, it means growth, but it can create a situation where friends and loved ones feel left behind.
So we're looking at some ways to navigate the tricky challenges of your villain era.
Sometimes the hardest thing about changing our lives is getting our loved ones on board.
While you may have done the work to start to grow and change, they haven't done the same work that you've done on yourself.
It may be tough to accept the new boundaries that you've set, which may come off as cold or villainish. But luckily, Master Life Coach Dr. Crystal Connor has some tips on how to embrace our new lease on life without alienating others. So let's start with your villain era.
A villain era is not you going around blowing up your life, causing all type of chaos.
Even though it may feel that way.
When you start saying no and you start changing things about yourself, you start to feel uncomfortable because it's not what you're used to.
She says to embrace the change you want to make for yourself positively and say,
I want to become a better person every day, and so it's going to require me to undo some things about myself that weren't working for me before.
During this process, you may find yourself stuck in the middle.
I think knowing going into any type of change, just being okay with the fact that some people are going to be all right with it and some people aren't. But everybody does not deserve an explanation for when you grow and change.
She says you're also not responsible for how they feel about your change. Instead,
what is important to you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to present yourself?
Then you have to prepare for the rules of engagement.
Being in a situation or a relationship where things are happening and you're unhappy and you're behaving in a certain way because you're unhappy
requires you to be honest by saying,
when you do this or when you say this, this is how it affects me.
Let the person know you're going to keep being who you are.
In the long run, those make relationships either healthier, or if it's a relationship that needs to end, it ends that relationship.
Finally, master the art of setting boundaries.
A lot of times we don't want to set boundaries because we feel like it's going to make us seem mean.
She says boundaries are the most caring thing you can do in a relationship.
When you're setting a boundary, you're not trying to control the other person if you're doing it correctly.
Boundaries are,
this is how I'm going to handle myself in a situation.
Of course, the other person may not agree with your boundaries,
but at least you have been honest about what is acceptable for you in a relationship and how you want that relationship to run.
Being a hero to yourself without being a villain to others.